What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Zigzag. My name is Corbin, and thank you for joining me here today. And if you go check out my YouTube channel, I did slightly change the name. It is now Zigzag Wrestling Club. I had a problem where people would go to look up the zigzag and the actual finishing move would pop up. So it is now Zigzag Wrestling Club. Around here, though, this podcast is going to stay the zigzag because it kind of just keeps things just a little bit different. And then I am planning on changing the TikTok and Instagram over to Zigzag Wrestling Club just to give it a little bit more spice, I guess. So I went ahead and changed the name. So if you go to look it up, you probably will be able to find it easier. I don't think that's anyone else's name. I sure hope not. But honestly, I'm just trying to hop right into this. I don't have much time before I got to take my one of my last finals of the year, which sucks. Exercise science. It's terrible. Been studying all morning, and I'm going to take a little break to do this, and then I'm going to go right back to studying right after this and then head to the final. So wish me luck. I'll already have it done by then. It's not like you care. You're probably just sitting there waiting for me to talk about the good stuff. And by good stuff, I mean terrible stuff, because we just got our wave of releases. And if you guys want to know my full thoughts on all of the releases, go to my YouTube channel, Zigzag Wrestling Club, and you will find a video where I go through and I talk about everybody that gets released. On here, though, I don't have the Evolve ID program, NXT, all that. I don't have any of those people on here. I just have the people from the main roster, plus the two other people. But I think, and they were both in NXT, but they were both pretty prevalent in NXT. So the entirety of the Wyatt Six got released. So Nikki Cross, Bo Dallas, aka Uncle Howdy, Joe Gacy, Dexter Lewis, and Big Red Eric Rowan. The Big Red was probably the worst one for me. He's always been one of my favorites. Dexter Loomis, I really thought could be a really good single star. But again, if you want to hear all my thoughts after this, I'll really only touch on one person, and you guys know who that's going to be. Along with them, Zoe Stark was released, Dante Chen, Andre Chase, Alba Fire, which that one really sucked as well, Aleister Black, and Zelina Vega, which I thought was a terrible release, Apollo Crews, who survived 11 years in the WWE, Santos Escobar, Motor City Machine Guns after being tag team champs early last year, and then of course Kairi Sane. I go on probably a 6-ish, 8-ish minute rant about Kairi Sane in my video, but just to sum everything up, basically I think this is probably the worst release ever. Someone who's in an active storyline, good storyline. She's playing a very good character, giving the storyline more depth, and you decide to release her. She's got tons of fan support. I mean, to me, it's just really bad. It's a really bad look. It's a bad look to build up a story where someone's getting bullied so much that they just leave the company. And what they're trying to do right now is WWE sending out all these things, like trying to cover it up and being like, oh no, she wanted to go back to Japan. Oh no, she wanted to do this. There's a page on Twitter that gets all their information from insiders from WWE, and they said that WWE releasing Kairi Sane was reportedly due to her indicating she wanted to move back to Japan. The reason she was cut was, I think she had kind of indicated she had wanted to move back to Japan. So no one ever just wants to lose their job when they're making a ton of money. No one ever goes, do you know what? I want to move back to Florida, but I'm just going to lose my job that pays me really well, and it's my job that I love. It's my dream job. I'm just going to quit it so I can go back to where I used to live. It's like, that's really? I feel like not. And what's funny is then Kairi Sane, this was about 18-ish hours ago. That was after all that speculation's been out for a few days, and they've been just backing that. It's like, oh, she wanted to go back to Japan. She didn't want to be in the WWE anymore. No, they released her. She went out and said, "What I can say is I know there's been a lot of speculation, but I truly love my work, my teammates, and my fans. I've never walked away, and I've given my all in everything I do. I hope you're all doing well. This is like not her saying outright, I like I'm trying to find a way to put, she didn't just like want to say, yeah, this is totally wrong, but this is her way of respectfully being like, I'm not the one who's walking away in this relationship. This is WWE cutting her. And I've been seeing the speculation online, which of course I like. I like the hashtag we want Kairi Sane. I love the chants, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. I love all the support people are giving her because I've always been the biggest Kairi Sane fan. Her and Chelsea are my two favorites, two favorite girls. So it's like this was a really hard for me to grasp and to get over. And then they kind of just wrote her off on Raw the other day. Asuka had a thing where she was like, well, now I'm going alone because I don't want another Io Sky, which is what she said. And which is basically like writing off Kairi's character. Kairi, of course, was not with Asuka. And it was like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? TKO is just pissing me off. This is a company that is just sitting there pulling strings and making everything so much worse. And I was really trying to be like the mediator where it was like, okay, well, maybe not everything's their fault. I'm trying not to but ever since we've signed that deal, why's the product been so much worse? Why have we been making so many worse decisions over the course of what 2 years? Ever since they signed with TKO, maybe a little bit more. I really don't remember at this point. Why's the product been significantly worse? And it has been. It obviously has been. And I'm not saying everything has sucked, because that's what everybody says online, and I'm not trying to do that. Not everything has sucked, but I'm just saying overall, the quality and consistency has not been where it had been previously to signing that contract with TKO. And this is kind of just an example of that. You take a wrestler that everybody really likes, people are starting to back, who's in an active storyline, and you just get rid of her for no reason. This is just telling me that the people at TKO pulling the strings isn't actually watching what's going on, and they're just looking at a spreadsheet, which that pisses me off more than anything. I think it's really shitty. It's terrible that they would decide to cut certain people based off a spreadsheet, based off of a freaking URL that they just got sent the night before in a freaking email. It's stupid to me. And I think that's the exact reason Kairi was let go. And it, like I just said, it's the worst release I think I've ever seen. Everybody else on the list, of course, I wish the absolute best for. I hope all these people just go and prove WWE and TKO wrong. And maybe they come back better than ever in the WWE. Maybe some of these people hang it up and become some legends. Maybe open up a wrestling school. People have lots of different dreams for this stuff, which is really cool. But, I just think releases, this wave, the Kairi Sane thing to me is just so unbelievable. So, what do I think of the current state of NXT? The IWC has spoken, and they think that NXT is in the worst place ever, and everything sucks. And people are like, well, NXT is no more. Remember when we had Black and Gold? My brother, everybody, all the stars from NXT, Ethan Page, Obafemi, Ricky Saints, Sol Ruka, oh my gosh, what's her, Glamour is Forever, Blake Monroe, like all of your best people, Javon Evans, that's the one I forgot, just got pulled up into the main roster, and now you are left with basically the mid-card, high mid-card people to now refill the spots and the slots in your developmental brand. And it's so funny that people are like, well, NXT sucks now. It's like, you got to give them time to build this. You got to give NXT time to build up what is going on, to make new stars. Because it doesn't just happen overnight where all of your best talent gets pulled up and you should just immediately have a star, immediately have your main event guy. It's not how it works. The only person I would say that's even particularly close to that would be Keanu Carver and Shiloh Hill. And obviously Miles Bourne, champion. Uh, who's the... Oh, this is bad looks. Oh, Tony D'Angelo as well. He's also there. He hadn't been pulled up yet. So like, and he's your NXT men's champion. And it's like, you gotta let time build a little bit, and you gotta make sure that things can develop so other people can have their chance to break into the main event scene. And so, is NXT gonna be really great for the next few weeks? Shawn Michaels is doing a better job than anything going on up in the main roster. Maybe The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels are just doing a way better job than Raw and SmackDown. Because they are. AAA and NXT are just miles better. They are miles better. People won't admit it, but they are, because there's someone not up there pulling strings. Someone's not playing Puppet Master above NXT. And someone's not playing Puppet Master above AAA. That's not how it works, because they don't care enough to mess with those brands and mess with the storylines and mess with the people that are involved. And and the product's better. So tell me why the two brands that are getting manipulated, the stories and the situations over there are significantly worse than the brands that don't have a puppet. It's insane to me. You're kind of getting my vibe from this. This entire episode might just be me crapping on TKO because they suck. But with superstars that I think could come out of NXT, Shiloh Hill to me is very funny. I really like him. You also have Tatum Paxley for the girls. I think she has the NXT North American Championship for the women, and I think that once she loses that, I actually think she might go back to the main event scene, win the title. Lola Vice is up there as well. Like, these gaps are going to get filled in. Like, I would not worry about NXT right now. You got to give it month, 2 months to let people see what everybody has in store. Like, maybe Birthright gets more of a front stage and being like a top heel faction. Maybe we get Sean Legacy being one of the top guys, which I think he's spectacular. We have EK Prosper. EK Prosper has been fantastic, and I think what he's doing right now and kind of just trying to fill that space of what Javon Evans had, where you have a good white meat babyface, super high energy, really cool flippy around moveset. EK Prosper is really filling in that role to me. And so I think NXT is going to be completely fine. I just think people need to give it time to build up and not just jump to conclusions so easily. Moving over to SmackDown. Tiffany Stratton wins the U.S. title in a match against Julia. And Julia had a fine run, but the U.S. title, just the way they've booked it, has been just so terrible that you had to do something. Putting it on Tiffany Stratton, to me, is the right choice. Tiffany being a women's world champion so early in her career, and then now obviously winning the U.S. title, that elevates the U.S. title. And that's a title that felt like a women's speed championship, like on the main roster. Like, they just did nothing with it. Chelsea did as much as Chelsea could do. And I think Zelina and Julia really did do the best that they could. And, they changed hands quite frequently, which is fine. For a mid-card title, if it changed hands 4 or 5 times in a year, that's 100% fine with me. I actually prefer it more to just kind of get some of that mid-card talent into the big picture, if you would. And Tiffany winning this is definitely moving it up a rank. Maybe it'll actually get defended on a PLE pay-per-view. But where does Julia go? Like, Julia and Kiana James are now kind of just left in limbo. And I feel like Julia hasn't been shown to be the absolute killer that she was down in NXT and over in New Japan. I feel like if Julia hadn't won the U.S. Championship, which obviously she did, she won it twice, Kiana James would have had a way better success on the main roster so far than Julia. And even right now, it's close. Like, Kiana James beat Charlotte Flair and Nia Jax, two former world champions, for a spot at Elimination Chamber, competed in Elimination Chamber, got an elimination at Elimination Chamber on Alexa Bliss, a former multi-time women's world champion. And Julia has beaten Zelina Vega and Chelsea Green. That's like to me, there's kind of an imbalance there between those two. So I wonder if we take those two, do we put them into the tag division? I'd be totally fine with that. That'd be cool with me because I actually like those two. And then maybe coming out of that, you have them feud. And then maybe Julia goes main event scene. Kiana goes after US title. I think that would be a pretty good plan because I really do like those two. I'm just not 100% sure if the idiots up there controlling the puppet hand will actually make the right call and build up something sort of like that. Because right now, for the most part, what they do is they go, oh, these two people don't have a storyline. Let's just leave them off TV. Man, this person's involved in a storyline. Dude, let's just release them. See what I'm saying? So I don't know what they're going to do. Congrats to Tiffany Stratton. I think, like I just was saying, she's going to elevate the title to new heights, and she's going to do really good stuff with it. Oh, the best part of SmackDown. Tied for the best part of SmackDown. Fatal Influence shows up. Oh gosh, and I got to really remember the last girl's name because I always remember JC Jane and Fallon Henley and Lainey Reed. Those three just got the call up from NXT, and they should have. And they all should have come together. I know some people thought that only JC was going to get pulled up and then the other two girls were kind of going to do their thing. I like that a women's faction, a strong women's faction was pulled up together, kind of Shield-like, if you would. And they are all going to go do their own thing. And they are all really good. Like, I understand that JC Jane has been the forefront of the faction, but people don't need to sleep on Lainey Reed. Every time I say one, I forget the other one's name. Lainey Reed and Fallon Henley. Because they both are also very good in the ring. I think their characters they play, like kind of like snooty, gossip girls, but they're also a little bit edgy, can be like really mean. I like that kind of character. That's kind of what Fatal Influence's whole vibe is. And my goodness, they got booed out of the freaking building. It was amazing. That is one thing I was not expecting. Like whenever they got pulled up, I actually had a feeling that people would like cheer because it's JC Jane. People understood like what JC Jane was doing, but they had them attack Rhea Ripley. And that was the best move they have done over on SmackDown in probably a year. Because normally what they would do is they'd be like, oh, let's just like have them on a backstage segment and have them say some mean words to some random mid-carder no one cares about. Instead, you take the biggest babyface and your new champion over on SmackDown and you attack her instead. Good job. Good job. I really liked their debut. And of course, immediately, JC Jane is facing Rhea Ripley for the Women's Championship. That's another good move because the SmackDown main card is so just so bleak right now. There's nobody there to fill spots, and it's felt like the only two people like up there was like Jade Cargill, like obviously before Rhea won everything and she came over. It was Jade Cargill and like Jordan Grace, who had just also gotten called up from NXT. So I think having JC Jane here is really great. And of course, then obviously Tiffany Stratton moved from world title to US title. So she's now down in the mid card as well, but she's not really mid card. She's just kind of, in that championship area. But it was so bleak up in the women's main card over on SmackDown, and having Fatal Influence be that heel faction, being that heel influence for Rhea Ripley to work off of is really good. What's a fictional world you would love to live in? Ooh. A fictional world. Um, so like there's one like honorable mention that comes to my mind is like living in the Shire of of like Lord of the Rings world. Living in the Shire would be pretty cool, but they got some pretty scary stuff around there. If you leave the Shire, so I'm not gonna pick that. Instead, I'm gonna pick. I would love to live in the Alola region of Pokemon. Pokemon Sun and Moon. That's the game it's from, the series it's from. But Alola, living in a tropical island with a bunch of dope Pokemon, and you have like me personally, I'm a big dog guy. I'd get a little Rockruff, evolve him into a Lycanroc Midnight form. It looks super dope if you don't know what I'm talking about. But imagine just having like a dog that has superpowers. How dope is that? I feel like I've maybe talked about this before, but that would be my fictional world I would live in. I live in the Pokemon world. I travel around, but if I had to choose a place, it'd be the Alola region. I'd go to the Pokemon school. I'd be just totally locked in. So give me give me that. Cody Rhodes calls out TKO again. He basically comes out guns blazing, talking about everyone trying to screw him, everybody trying to get involved with his situations, and then says that they're greedy people up top doing whatever. He kind of just calls them out yet again. It was pretty cool. It's cool to see like the wrestlers pushing back a little bit against the puppet, and I don't know. I wonder the best thing they could do, and I wonder if they're trying to do this. I have been thinking about this for a little bit. Are they trying to start up this thing where it's like everybody versus TKO? Like how the Authority worked? The Authority was like the overseeing eye, but they were like actual characters. I think if they were to make a TKO character that like advocated for TKO and agreed with the stuff they did and broke that fourth wall a little bit more, I think you could make someone just so ridiculously hated. Like, I think, okay, this is like me. This is me planning. Obviously, people are having problems with TKO. Take advantage of that. And I'm not saying that we should just make the product suck all the time, because that's not what I want. But if people are going to hate something so much, you should at least take advantage of it and then fix the problem as well. What if you had Cody Rhodes turn heel and be a like TKO enforcer, TKO agent, corporate Cody, but it's corporate TKO Cody, if you know what I'm saying. So I think that'd be kind of cool. I'm still waiting on the Roadlander, the Cody Rhodes heel turn. I'm waiting for it to come. Hasn't happened yet, but it should be coming soon. But him calling out TKO, it's kind of just showing that people are not amused with what is going on right now. It is official. Little Yachty is the manager for Trick Williams. And I think like this dynamic that they have going on right now is so fantastic. The Yachty one-liners, him working with Trick, their whole vibe together just works. And like him being the manager, maybe getting involved here and there to help Trick pick up wins with the U.S. title. It's just such a good match. And then, of course, Sami Zayn is actually disguised in the gingerbread suit. He attacks Trick. He gets booed like hell, like he has been. But where does this go? Like, obviously, it's not going to end with Sami Zayn winning the U.S. title again. I mean, I sure hope not. But this has to lead to Sami Zayn, like, crashing out and officially becoming a heel. Because right now, he's still trying to be a babyface, and it's not working. Just be a bad guy. Just let him pull that trigger and be a bad guy. Like, have him attack like a big baby face, as much as I like Carmelo Hayes, have him just beat the hell out of Carmelo Hayes, like with a steel chair or something. Like have him randomly attack him, officially become heel, and he can take on kind of a new persona. That's what I would like to see out of Sammy. Trick Williams, on the other hand, I think he ends up dropping this maybe SummerSlam potentially. or even longer. I'd be totally fine if he kept this for the majority of the year. I just hope he has really solid feuds. I hope he has a lot of matches. You don't need to have quite as many as Carmelo with the open challenge, obviously, but if you can kind of build up some good stories and he can defend it, let's say 6 to 8 times before he drops it, if you plan to drop it at SummerSlam, I think that'd be a really good title reign for Trick Williams. Danhausen breaks into the Miz's house. The best part about this storyline to me right now is they're getting Maurice involved. And Maurice to me has always been a very good comedy actor, because she's so like prim and proper and she's so very French. And her getting involved in like also yelling at Danhausen has been very funny. And Maurice and Miz work so well together. And along with throwing Danhausen into this mix, it's so funny. Like Danhausen goes in, he messes with Miz's pool and the golf simulator. And then the Miz accidentally throws like chocolate onto Maurice in like a bowl or something like that. Like it was all just so funny. And then of course it ends with Danhausen stealing his daughter's bike. Absolute cinema. Again, the best part of SmackDown and Raw basically every single week has been Danhausen. If it's SmackDown, it's Danhausen, Miz, and Kit Wilson. Like the whole thing has just been great. And of course that leads to a match. Danhausen versus the Miz. And Kit Wilson's there in the Miz's corner. They both get up on the apron trying to do a little bit of shenanigans. And the cursed pyro goes off again. And it leads to Danhausen picking up the win. So Danhausen's undefeated. He's 2-0. I just think it's like this has just been the absolute staple best part of SmackDown since 2026 has started, basically ish. Not since it started, but ever since Danhausen got here and really kicked up this feud with the Miz. And once this is over, this is going to be one of those feuds where people are like, "Oh, remember when Danhausen and the Miz and Kit Wilson were having like their problems? Like, wasn't that so sick?" It was like, yeah, that was sick. So I've been having so much fun with their storyline. Thank the Lord. SmackDown is reportedly going back to 2 hours, stating that it will happen in the next few weeks. The worst part of being a WWE content creator, WWE fan, has been having to sit through 3 hours of SmackDown. 3 hours of mediocrity. It's too long. It's too long for me. Like Raw, it says it's going to be 2 hours, but maybe it's a little long. Maybe it's like 2 hours, 15 minutes. Maybe it's 2 hours, 30 minutes. Like, but to me, Raw actually has a bunch of stuff going on. SmackDown, it's 3 hours of ad-filled mediocre wrestling and ad-filled mediocre storylines besides the Danhausen thing. Consistently, of course, now that we're getting Fatal Influence in here, I'm invested in that as well. But just I had to watch SmackDown for 3 hours on a Friday night whenever I'm trying to do stuff with people, and 2 hours is just a lot more manageable for me. It's a lot better. I think 3 hours is just too long. Like even if Raw was if Raw had an extra 30 minutes to an hour tacked onto it, it'd just be too long for me. I think you should be able to get in everything you need to get in within the 2 hour, 30-minute time period. Because like 3 hours, it's a really long time for a weekly TV show that you're going to sit down and watch. Like that's like watching a Harry, like 3 hours is watching like a Harry Potter film. Like, no, like it's just too long. And like I said, it's chock full of ads. So Thank you, SmackDown. Actually, thank you to Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman's every item on the menu is the TV show that's taking that third hour away from the WWE. So Braun Strowman, shout out to that GOAT. Moving over to Raw. I wonder how long they plan to build Seth versus Braun Breaker. To me, like obviously officially stated, it's happening at Backlash. We're getting Seth versus Braun, but it's not going to end there. There's no way this big of a feud ends at just Backlash. I think what ends up happening is you get Seth versus Braun Breaker. Maybe Seth goes on to win at Backlash. Braun Breaker, the heel, comes back at him. They rebuild it all the way to Money in the Bank. Maybe there's a little bit of separation. They maybe both go their different ways for just a little bit, and then maybe Braun ends up screwing over Seth for a world title opportunity again in the future, kind of reigniting the feud somewhat. I think this probably ends like stamp of approval. It's done at SummerSlam. I feel like if it goes on too like for too long, it's gonna get old and stale. But I think if you can aim at SummerSlam and make we're gonna do a TLC, tables, ladders, and chairs, Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. We get that match out of the way. It would just be a staple, and everybody would remember that match because it would be just so insane. But if you go longer than that, like I said, it gets stale. If you just end it at Backlash, it feels unfinished. So if we can perfectly map this out to where it doesn't get old before SummerSlam, that would be sick. We need to make sure it keeps building momentum every week, or at least every few weeks. It's like, okay, we're taking this a step further. It's getting a step higher than it was previously. That's kind of what I want. And I love Seth Rollins. He said in his promo, he said, betting on yourself got you a happy ending from Paul Heyman. It was just so funny. But just in case anyone thinks Seth Rollins can't cut a promo, just listen to what he just said on Raw last week. I mean, well, this week technically. But this dude's just amazing at every aspect of the game. That's why he's on my Mount Rushmore of WWE wrestlers. The dude's in-ring is great. He can cut promos better than most. I think he's probably up there with people like CM Punk, because whenever they were going back and forth, it's not like Seth was getting stomped by him. Seth was beating him in the majority of promos, because Seth just has a way of digging into that like emotional state and bringing that out. Just the dude's just so good. And it's so great to have him back. I feel like Raw is now complete now that Seth freaking Rollins is back. Question here says, what's the best live event you've ever experienced? Best live event. I mean, I was there when the Shield broke up. I was there. That was pretty insane. I was there at Raw when Daniel Bryan returned after his neck surgery. That was also really insane. And people were just, I mean, I thought the building was going to explode. Everyone hitting the yes chant. I was so young though. So recently, a few years ago, I went to the Hella Mega Tour. That was Green Day, Fall Out Boy, and Weezer. That was so much fun. That was so sick to see all three of them in concert. I'm a big Weezer fan, huge Green Day guy, and I like Fall Out Boy, but I hadn't really listened to like a ton of their stuff, just like the normal stuff like Centuries and all their basic stuff I knew, but getting to sit there and listen to their stuff like full out in concert live was really sick as well. Like I seriously enjoyed them, and the whole thing was so much fun. I went with one of my best friends and my parents as well, and we had such a good time. So that's probably my favorite live event I've ever been to, I would think. I did really like WrestlePalooza, just because I hadn't been to a live event WWE in so long, that it was cool to, now being older than I was whenever I previously went, to sit down and see the entrances and listen to them, like hit the mat and do all this stuff. Like I thought that was such an like entertaining, interesting thing. So both of those for me are probably the best live events I've went to. But Hella Mega, just the way everything ended up turning out was just like an unforgettable experience. The Judgment Day girls wipe out Stephanie Vaquer. And then later on, they go on to say that Stephanie Vaquer is injured. And so I think this is probably just their way of writing her off TV for a while. I mean, Stephanie has been multi-time champ last year. I mean, she was double champion down at NXT with the North American Championship and the Women's Championship. She drops one, loses the other one to JC Jane, and then obviously comes to Raw and wins the Women's Heavyweight Championship. So she has been all out going for like more than a year now. So I think she probably deserves this time off. I mean, whenever she comes back, obviously she's going to end up feuding with the Judgment Day girls again. Um, she's going to be gone for I don't know how long. Maybe a month, maybe 2 months. Who knows? Maybe she returns somewhere like I keep saying Money in the Bank. I actually learned the other like, and I'm just now thinking of this. I actually learned that Money in the Bank is not normally where it is. Money in the Bank is like in September. So I know I was just saying they were gonna feud to like Money in the Bank. That's a lie because Money in the Bank is after SummerSlam. I actually don't even know what's in between Backlash and SummerSlam, and there is so many. Let's see. WWE event between Backlash and SummerSlam. It literally pops up. So let's see. Clash in Italy. And then we got some Saturday night main events. So that's cool. So build to Clash in Italy is what I'm saying. So maybe she comes back there. That'd be pretty cool. The only problem with overseas is people see her. People are like, oh, Stephanie Vicares just got off the plane. Oh, Stephanie's here. Stephanie's in Clash in Paris, and she's not supposed to be. She's going to interrupt a match. That's the only problem with going overseas is a lot of talent gets seen and the experience gets ruined a little bit. So who knows what they're going to do with her, but she doesn't even need a championship whenever she comes back. She can just feud, like I said, with the Judgment Day girls. So it's kind of cool that she's going to get her break and come back probably more ready than ever. And she's going to get a huge pop whenever she comes back. Rusev and Penta go to have a match. And who interrupts before the match even starts? My GOAT, Ethan Page. Well, GOAT number 2 behind Dominic. Ethan Page, this dude, his charisma is just off the charts. He's so good at everything he does. He's great at playing that like nonchalant, like, whoa, dude, calm down kind of heel. And everything he does is just like perfect. And everything he does has a purpose as well. So him like kind of teaming up with Rusev after Penta picks up the win. Penta picks up the win. Rusev starts beating on him. And then Javon attacks Rusev. Then Ethan Page gets involved and helps them out. And I think we're just setting up for a match. Rusev and Ethan Page versus Penta and Javon, which is going to be a banger because all 4 of those guys can go. And I think, obviously, this is all centered around the IC title. Like, all these guys want the Intercontinental Championship. And that's why I think the IC title scene has been built so incredibly well. You have 4 guys gunning for it right now. And I think all 4 of these guys could win it right now. And everybody would be like, that makes sense to me. I think that the person who wins this off of Penta, I think, is Ethan Page. Which people will be like, well, wouldn't you want to have Javon win it? But you don't want Javon to win it from Penta. You want Javon to win it from a bad guy. And the person who's a bad guy here, well, obviously is Rusev. But I think Rusev's working with Ethan Page to elevate him a little bit more. And Ethan Page is going to be the one to take the IC title in the end. He's kind of like the rat that sits in the background, and he's going to lunge at his opportunity and steal it away from someone like Rusev and someone like Javon Evans. So Ethan Page, I think, is going to win the IC championship. And then later in the year, in a really big stage, really big moment, that's when Javon Evans is going to eventually win it, become a very young champion. I don't even know if he'll be 22 yet at that point. So, IC title scene has just been so fantastic. Becky Lynch has an open challenge, and it is answered by Io Sky, which the place freaked out. It was so sick to see Io answer the open challenge, and that's just one way to elevate the women's IC title. Have Becky Lynch go out there and do open challenges, because I'm down. Becky Lynch is awesome in the ring. Her storytelling is great, and you can have so many different girls like come through the revolving door, and someone will eventually take it off of Becky. I think if it's anyone, it's going to be Sol Ruka. I think Sol Ruka eventually is going to make her return and end up beating Becky Lynch for the title. I think that just makes the most sense to me. But Becky and Io put on a clinic of a match. This match was so freaking good. Like I was sitting there every 5 seconds. I was like, oh my gosh, look at that move. Oh dude, look at that springboard scorpion Rana. Like look, like dude, every 5 seconds I was like, what are we doing? This is so awesome. Now I knew it was probably gonna end with Asuka getting involved, so I wasn't really like keeping my hopes up, if you know what I'm saying. But then Becky, of course, ends up retaining because Asuka gets involved, which is fine. You want your heel to retain because someone else gets involved, and it helps build Io versus Asuka. But here's what I'm going to say. The "We Want Kairi" chants were echoing through Raw, and I feel like not having Kairi Sane is making this feud feel like it has less value, less substance. Like, I feel like removing Kairi took away a whole nother element they were building onto this. Like it was almost like it didn't need a title because it was like they were kind of fighting for Kairi Sane, like ownership of Kairi a little bit. So it gave it a cool dynamic, but now that she's gone, it's just a feud. It's a feud between Io and Asuka, who I love both. I think they're both amazing. But they're not, like, what's the feud for? The feud is because Asuka's mad at Io for leaving the family. Well, guess what? You just kicked out your only family. There is no family left. Now it's just like Asuka being mad at Io for no reason and Io fighting back because she has to because someone wants to fight her. There's no substance here. It's very plain. It's very vanilla now. If we could get a moment like an R-Truth moment where Asuka's about to win, and you have Kairi Sane come in, and Triple H might do this because I'm going to bring in his favorite words ever. Someone appears in a black hoodie and a mask, the Triple H wet dream, and you have Kairi Sane jump up on the apron, hit an insane elbow, and people will be like, I know who hits that move. It's that 5-1 GOAT. 5-1 GOAT. Kairi Sane. Insane elbow, helps out Io pick up the win, and she officially turns on Asuka. Huge pop, baby face. That's what I want. That's what everybody on the internet wants. Don't think TKO cares about what we have to say. That is like my dream, but I don't think this is going to happen. I feel like this is a scenario where WWE has made such a big mistake that they're like, no, this is what we've wanted to do the whole time. Nope, we're not going to go back on this. It's like in Formula One. If you guys know what I'm talking about. Red Bull Racing, the top racing series, one of the top teams. They dropped my favorite driver. He's on the flag back there. They dropped Pierre Gasly. And he got replaced by this guy named Alex Albon. Love Alex. But whenever Alex got into the car, he was not doing good either in comparison to Max Verstappen, the F1 GOAT. And Red Bull had realized they had made such a big mistake because whenever Pierre went to a worse car, he started absolutely frying everybody. Now, granted, there's some psychological stuff there where you feel like you have more to prove and you feel like you can't, like, there is no messing up because you're in the worst car. He goes on to get consistent top 10, even top 5 finishes, and even picks up a win in a very midfield car. And Alex Albon does very poorly and ends up getting dropped at the end of the season. And Red Bull never goes back to pick up Pierre again. And this is kind of the same situation because Red Bull made such a bad mistake by dropping such a young talent in Pierre that they wanted to back themselves and keep backing their new star whenever they wouldn't back him. And I feel like TKO is doing the same thing where they're going to back this decision until the day they die because they don't want to admit, yeah, we made a mistake. It's the same thing in my head. I don't even know if that makes sense to you. Tried to explain it the best I can. But it's the same story, just in my two different forms of, brain autism in Formula One and WWE. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. I don't think TKO is going to bring her back. I really don't. I don't have high hopes for it. But if they do, That would be pretty sweet. What do we have next? What's a moment in sports that gave you chills? So I'm going to just keep this sports like football, basketball, whatever. I remember being in a hotel for the Lions-Packers game as a Packers fan, getting to watch Aaron Rodgers throw that ball to win the NFC championship. NFC champion? Yeah. To beat the Lions. That was insane. That was so insane. I remember sitting there with my dad, watching in this hotel room, and we just see that ball get thrown up in the air, and it's caught. It's caught. And the place just freaks out. Oh my gosh, why can't I remember the scene? Oh yeah, it's like he turned 34 yesterday. Does he have another magic moment in him? And it's caught. Richard Rodgers. That's who it was. I had to replay the entire scene in my head to remember who caught it. But that scene, like that moment is like ingrained in my brain. I remember the entire room was dark and just the TV was on. That moment gave me chills. Entertainment wise, WWE wise, I mean, the streak getting broken, I remember, and my dad and I like didn't think it was real. I remember that. Obviously the Shield breaking up, I remember that very vividly. So another moment in sports is like the entire Pacers run last year. Every single 5 seconds, it was just another insane shot by Tyrese Halliburton. You see white boy TJ McConnell going to work. You got to see Andrew Nemhard just absolutely cook people off the fadeaway and like all this stuff. Like the Pacers were so fun to watch. So that's like an entire segment that gave me chills. So those are just a few ones I could think of off the top of my head. Say his name and he appears. Joe Hendry is a Raw superstar, and he kicks up his little concert by stating that he's on Raw, and he eventually turns it over to a song talking about, can we fire Logan Paul? And this was so damn funny. And it was perfect. It was a perfect debut for Joe Hendry, and he's been doing this singing concert gimmick for so long, this kind of thing, that it just worked, and it felt right that this was his Raw debut. And then, of course, the Vision shows up because Logan Paul doesn't want to hear that. And the Street Profits show up as well. And obviously we're building Vision versus Street Profits. I personally don't think the Street Profits should win their first match for the belts. I think the Vision needs to get built up a little more. If you put all this heat and all this momentum into the Street Profits and they get not squashed, but if they get beaten by the Vision, I feel like it elevates both teams more because the tag champs have now beat a very hot, very good team. And then the Street Profits could go on to beat them in an even bigger match, like maybe a ladder match or something like that. And then the Street Profits win on a bigger stage in a bigger area, and taking the belts off the Vision would be fine, but it would actually elevate both if the Street Profits actually failed the first time they challenged for them. So, and also I'd kind of like to get another tag team in here. Like if you get other men tag team into the mix, it would kind of make a better situation, I guess. But having the Vision hold these a little while longer, having some more defenses, I think would be very good for the belts. I wonder where Joe Hendry goes from here. I think probably he goes into a big time feud with somebody. I'm not entirely sure who. Who would I want to see? Who would I want to see him feud with? I need someone like, honestly, Chad Gable. Whenever Chad Gable comes back, I want him to go challenge for a title. But if they wanted to put him in a feud with Joe Hendry, that would be pretty sick. There's just some random people that Joe could go have problems with. And if it was a thing where it was like the Street Profits have to go against the Vision, as in Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and Braun Breaker, instead of having Seth involved, what if you had Joe Hendry involved? And then obviously maybe Seth would get involved with that match because he's upset at the Vision and Paul Heyman and all that stuff and Braun Breaker. So maybe he could be involved in that scenario. I actually think he actually doesn't fit well but just because of who Joe Hendry is, like he's a good guy, white meat baby face, a little bit goofy, but so are the Street Profits. Like people forget, like the Street Profits are serious, but they are a little bit of a goofier team. I could see him involved with that. Maybe Joe Hendry gets involved with the IC title. Maybe, who knows? Maybe he answers an open challenge to Obafemi and actually puts up a decent fight. That would build him up really well. Who knows? But I just hope Joe gets good TV time because I really like him. Everybody's favorite segment is up next. Blind ranking songs from my playlist. Should I do WWE songs? I'm going to. I need to try and not get copywritten, so I'm not going to actually play the song. I'm just going to hit Shufla. Let me hit Shufla. Okay. It should be shuffled. I understand that this is the first song. I got Death Waltz, Ilya Dragunov, but that's not it. So, first song. Somebody Gonna Get It. Mark Henry's theme song by 3-6 Mafia. This is literally probably one of my favorite theme songs ever. Probably ever. Oh gosh. Somebody gonna get their ass kicked. Somebody gonna get their wig split. I'm scared, so I'm gonna put it at 2. Mark Henry. I'm just gonna put Mark Henry. Mark Henry's theme. Somebody gonna get it. I'll put that at 2 because there are some really good songs on here, but I think that's a pretty safe one. Next up, other side. That doesn't count because that's not a theme song. Jack Swagger's theme song from a long time ago. The very patriotic theme song. We the People. Let me put that at... I have a feeling that we're only going to get really good ones on here. And this is like my playlist is only full of WWE theme song bangers, but this is probably like on the bottom end of bangers. So I'm going to put this one at 5, even though I do really like this theme song, but I'm going to go ahead and put it at 5. Next up, other side. Oh, no, go back. Dang it, I already saw the next one. This is Finn Balor's I Am Danger theme song. This is like the remix to, oh my gosh, To Catch Your Breath. This is a hot take. I like this theme song a lot. It's a very good heel remix theme song. I like how grungy it is. Obviously, it's not as good as Catch Your Breath because that's like one of my favorite theme songs of all time. But I think it's still it's still cool. It matched the Finn Balor Judgment Day character. I'm going to put I Am Danger at 4. Put I Am Danger at 4. And I'm going to reshuffle this because I saw the Alpha Academy was the next one. So, next up, we got American Made. Oh, I made a mistake. This one should be 5. I do like this theme song, but this is worse than I Am Danger and the Jack Swagger theme. Very similar to the Jack Swagger theme, actually, but American Made is going to go at 3. This is the problem with blind ranks. You don't know what's going to come up next. So that leaves us 1. That leaves us number 1. So, oh my gosh, I got cooked. The Alpha Academy theme song. Dude, what the heck? Chad Gable has infected my phone. So Alpha Academy theme song has to go at 1. Usually I do very well with these. This is bad. So Jack Swagger's theme's at 5. I Am Danger, Finn Balor at 4. American Made theme at 3. Mark Henry's theme at 2. And Alpha Academy theme at 1. It should be Mark Henry's theme first, then I Am Danger, and then Alpha Academy, then Jack Swagger, then American Made's theme. Wow, that was a really bad blind rank. I'm so sorry. If you guys would have ranked them differently, let me know down below. I'd love to know what you think. But getting back to Raw, Grayson Waller makes a fatal mistake. He says this guy is overrated. Overrated, like overrated. And then shocker, Grayson Waller goes out and gets fed to Obafemi, loses. I wonder, are they just going to do this thing where it's just like they continue the Obafemi goes out and kills people every single week? Now, they said Obafemi is going to start the Obafemi Open Challenge, bunch of random people could come challenge. Maybe we start a thing with Gunther, because they would actually have a really good feud. You need to give him actual substance in people he fights. You can't just let people go out and lose to Obafemi in 1 minute every single week, because that would get so old and people would just stop caring about Oba. You need to have him go into an actual really good feud with someone to help build up his character and the other person's character, but it also gives him time to actually work on in-ring skills. He can go have a 15-minute match, and I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying that all the matches I've seen him wrestle since he's gotten to the main roster have been below 8 minutes, which is not very good, because if he goes out and has a 15-minute match with Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, 15, 20, 25-minute match, he's going to be cooked, because he's not sitting there constantly doing those matches in front of people in an open stage and not having those long matches, because it's different. But someone needs to answer the open challenge and give him an actual little bit of a run for his money. So hopefully they don't just keep doing this thing where it's like, someone come on out here, and they just like are like, oh, it's Tozawa, and Tozawa wins by, like, not Tozawa, Oba wins by fall from grace 3 seconds into the match. Like, that would just be so stupid. So let's build up a little bit of a feud. Both El Grande Americanos are here on Raw, and what do I think will happen at Mask versus Mask at Noches de lo at Noche de los Grande. Sorry, I was trying to already say El Grande Americano. Whoops. So that's the event over on AAA. It's going to be happening this week or next week on a Sunday, I'm fairly certain. Make sure to go check that out. Don't just sit there and watch the El Grande Americano match. I know it's what a lot of people will be doing. Go check out the other matches too. I actually don't know what the rest of the card looks like, but whatever is going to be on there, it's going to be sick, because AAA does such a great job. This has been the best built feud in years. In probably a year and a half, in my opinion. Every time these dudes brawl, it like I hate whenever it's like, oh, it's a brawl, and it's like, oh, they get separated, and then it's like, oh, Superman punch, and then it's like, oh wait, I'm not just gonna tackle you, I'm gonna put you into the post. To me, that doesn't feel real. You break the barrier when the two people are so mad at each other that they're literally just like, they tackle each other and they're like throwing like elbows and haymakers, and the other one gets on top and then like gets separated, and then they go back after each other and like are just like wrestling each other to the ground. That feels so real, because that's what a real person would do. That is a legit reaction to being mad at someone. And they've built this thing where you bring in El Grande Americano's girlfriend, the ring announcer, and El Grande's like cornering her and like getting ready to hit her, and then the savior, the real El Grande Americano comes out and attacks him, and it's been so much fun to watch, and I can't wait for this match. What do I think is going to happen? The real El Grande Americano is going to win, because I think the person under the fake El Grande, or some people say the first El Grande, I think he's going to return to Raw and start a storyline up there, because he doesn't need this character anymore. He's done. He's done a great job, but the other guy does it better. The new El Grande, the real El Grande. Some people maybe say Ludwig Kaiser, but you guys are crazy. So I think New Grande is going to pick up the dub at Noches de lo Grande. There, I killed it. What's more important in wrestling, in-ring skill or character work? This is kind of this might be controversial. I actually think character work's way better. Obviously, like, I care more about character work. I'm not saying that in-ring skill is stupid. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying. But if you can work a character into your match, I think working your character during the match is better than having super great in-ring skill. And I think the WWE potentially sees it that way as well. Like, you guys remember Neville? Neville was probably the best in-ring skilled person I'd ever seen. The Red Arrow was one of the craziest finishers ever, but he didn't really have a character, and that's why he didn't do too well. The Motor City Machine Guns as well. In-ring skill, they're probably the best tag team they had on the roster, but they had no character. They were just two guys that went out there and fought, and obviously they just got released. So I think character work just gives it gives the people and the fans more to love rather than in-ring skill. Now, some people have in-ring skill and it's so good that people are like, oh my gosh, this guy's in-ring is so good. Like, I mean, I guess like Chad Gable was like that for a little while, where he was just like a very good wrestler, very smooth in ring, but like his character work obviously got so good the past few years that he's just even better. He's just on a new level. But I'm like original long hair, American Alpha Chad Gable, like he was only focused on in-ring skill and he wasn't over. But he wasn't over as much, is what I'm trying to say. But he added in the more character work, and now everybody loves him. Now, sadly, we haven't seen him in like a year. I wonder where he's at. I don't know where he's been at. So hopefully he comes back within the next couple weeks. So I think character work's better. Obviously, I like all the character work people. Dom Dom is like the GOAT of character work. Seth Rollins, same thing. So Ethan Page, another person I was just talking about earlier, they are all so developed. They've developed their characters so well, and it's been so great to watch them grow and change and do all this stuff. So character work is more important in my opinion. Finn sneaks into the Judgment Day clubhouse to talk to Roxy. Where does this lead? This pop was so good. It pans over after she turns around. It's Finn like giving the shush. Oh my gosh, the place, I thought the roof was going to blow off. Obviously, we're still kind of building up Finn versus Dom and the rest of the Judgment Day. But this obviously leads to Roxanne turning and joining with Finn. And they're kind of going to go do their own thing, I would think. And maybe even Roxanne challenges for a world title this year. Potentially wins it. Who knows? So this obviously to me is, I'm just smelling a Roxanne Perez face turn. The We Want Roxy chants, along with that, explode through Laredo, Texas. Obviously, that's where she grew up. The Judgment Day girls get the win with Roxy hitting the pop rocks, and this place was hot for this match. When does Roxanne win a world title? Does she win the IC title first? I think she could skip the IC title. I don't think she needs it. I think right now, with how the story is set up, I could see Roxanne Perez winning the title at SummerSlam. I could see Roxanne, like this year, Roxanne Perez is going to win a title. And I think she'd look really good with the IC title on her, with the IC title belt. But that's just not where she's set up right now. Like, she's not in an active feud eyeing the IC title, looking at Becky Lynch. Right now, she's friends and potentially turning on the women's champion. The story just writes itself there. So I think Roxanne Perez will win the Women's World Heavyweight Championship this year. Jacob Fatu attacks Roman Reigns with the Samoan Death Grip, I think is what they called it. Sure, that's a real finisher. And then, like, I don't care about this feud because Jacob Fatu is going to get fed to the OTC. Shout out. And Backlash is official. They're going to have their match. There's no way Roman loses to Jacob Fatu. I don't really know where they're going to go. I wonder if maybe Jimmy and Jay get involved. They restart the bloodline. They're going to do this and that. Who cares? I don't really know. But I like Roman as champion. Let's keep Roman as champion because he just makes everybody look strong. Like, this is obviously a top tier feud and top tier championship match. It's just, I like Jacob Fatu. He's just obviously not going to win this. So, my last question. What is the best title design in WWE history? I'm going to keep this short and simple. White strap, 2015 IC title, men's. The Dolph Ziggler Championship, the Miz Championship. That is the best looking title in WWE history. I like the hardcore title a lot, actually. I think the original World Heavyweight Championship looked really good. The one from the early 2010s. Obviously, the old WWE Championship, the spinner belt, the old US Championship too, also was really sick. But yeah, the white belt IC title was just so sick to me. So I want to thank you guys for joining me today for the Zigzag podcast that we do every single week. If you guys want to do something, do me a favor, go down below, like, comment, subscribe, bell for notifications. That would help me out a lot. You would really enjoy the stuff we do on my YouTube channel. Also, my links down below. For my TikTok and Instagram, I post little videos over there as well that you can't see over on my YouTube. So make sure to go check that out. So, thank you guys for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful day.